Hey guys, XJ9 here, and today's gonna be a video about the beta currently going on. And they introduced the new t95 wands for us to test. There's three different versions, but they also made it so the Fracture Staff of Orbital can cast Great Arconk. But one thing they also did last minute was if I have the my wands on, I can cast both Sonic Wave and Conk. um, yeah, it goes on cooldown, but I kind of don't like that because one, it causes a few issues, so I kind of hope they revert that. But if you see here, I can cast Conk with my staff. I think that's really cool because in the beta, I've been enjoying staff camping at like Solak and Zamorak, and it feels great. Not having to swap the wand, this makes Magic feel less clunky. I can focus on swapping my spells, so I had a lot of fun doing that. Uh, However, one thing I want to talk about are, well, what do I think about the changes? So first off, let's show an example of me doing magic with my stuff normal. So you would overload, and we would get our insight fear stacks. We're gonna cast like corruption, I guess, and then we're gonna do a tsunami. Staff of Armor special. We're just gonna tendril after with a sigil, and then wild magic, and you can just keep conking, and it just feels really good to be able to use all these abilities and not having to swap. Like I put my dyed staff in my UF, so I can't really show it right now. So that kind of sucks. But as you can see, like, oh look, I can cast all these spells. I can just conk. It feels great. So I love the beta for this change. The one thing that sucks is obviously the staff armor doesn't do anything after. So afterwards, you would have to swap to your wand and core and wait 9 seconds and such. But I will get to that about what I will suggest about the Fractal Shuffle Armor. I will say that the wand and core I've enjoyed the most is the augmented corruption wand, which is the bleed wand. Damage over time abilities do 30% more damage, and damage over time abilities generate essence corruptions with each hit. This is probably the most interesting out of the bunch compared to the wild magic versions, which is just if you use a threshold and then if you use a threshold, you get and then a basic, you get adrenaline, and then if you use wild magic and then a basic, you either refund your wild magic by 6 seconds or a 35% chance to refund it completely. I never liked these because let's just say I just did my Fracture Staff Armor rotation, and I just put it on my wand and core, give it 9 seconds because I have to wait. But like, what would you do after? Like, wild magic doesn't really even matter at this point because you're not under sunshine. You don't have staff or armor on, so why does it even matter? Like, if I wild magic right now, conk. Oh look, it's going off cooldown. But oh, I have to cast another threshold, and I could cast a basic here, but there's no reason to cast another basic. So it's really just uh use wild magic and then use like a threshold. So like for instance, like, you would wild magic, you would conk, omni power, and then you might as well just cast just more basics and just. Oh wait, did I actually go? What was that? Non-basic abilities. Non-basic. Oh, it's non-basic. Could I do that? Let's see. Let's try this with wild. So let's try again. So wild magic, conk, and I don't have my omni power up, but I want to try that again. I think I. Oh yeah, it's because I did another threshold. Yeah, that doesn't. Yeah, never mind, never mind, never mind. I'm not crazy. So because even though it goes from 2 to 0 seconds, it would still be up in the time I want to use it. So like that's all right. The other one is a chance to completely refund it, and I'm not sure. I didn't really try out this one too much. I tried it once, and again, because you're not under sunshine, you don't really go wow because the hits are really garbage. So I mean, let's just try this. So this is Omni Power. This is just basic. Oh, it refunded. So let's wild magic. Let's do 2 basics. I didn't get it, so let's do a fixie. Let's do a basic. Oh, it refunded, and it would if I would. Oh, it refunded again, and then it's gonna refund. The thing there with so the only refund that was lucky was the second one. The first one, if I had the 6 second cooldown one, it would every time you use a basic, it reduces the cooldown by 6 seconds. It would be the same thing. Like both are pretty much the same in power, and I'm not sure which one is more frustrating. Like, is it I just don't think it's that interesting because, like, again, realistically, you're not under sunshine. The only way this makes sense to me is if they want to put Fracture Staff of Armortal into an Essence of Finality. But then I don't think that really accomplishes much. Because if they put the Fracture Staff of Armortal in the Essence of Finality and Dual Wield can cast Greater Conk, even though I think it should only be able to cast Greater Sonic Wave, because Greater Sonic Wave has more synergy with Bleed builds, because I believe it amplifies Bleeds. If it doesn't, it should amplify Bleeds. The stacks of flow. Flow should buff Bleeds. If it doesn't, I can't believe it. But I just don't want the Staff of Armor to go into an Essence, because the whole point of this update was to be like, oh my god, I get to show off my Staff of Armor and actually fight with it. This has been a discussion ever since Staff of Armor has been released, and we're right there. But then JetX did a last minute change where, oh, you can cast both Greater Conk and Sonic Wave no matter what magic weapon you have. And is this going to cause, okay, well, why am I using a Staff of Armor? You might as well just use an Inquisitor Staff. You might as well, because Inquisitor Staff, the reason people don't use Inquisitor Staff at bosses like Slock or AOD is because you can't use Greater Conk. But now, oh, Staff can use great. Well, yeah, now it can use Greater Conk. You would use it there, but you know, if you have the wand, so you would actually use it there because you don't need to have the staff on. So that's the biggest reason. That's probably one of the biggest buffs is that the Inquisitor Staff becomes really strong now. Although it's probably not as strong as people would think because we're gonna get an upgrade to probably tier 99 or tier 100 on our tier 95. So it's not that big of a deal. But I have my Staff of Armortal in my Essence of Finality. And what you can do is you can, you know, Sunshine. Let's get your my Tsunami up. And which one do I have? I have the 35% chance to refund Wild Magic. So let's just Omni Power, Basic. Oh, I was the wrong rotation, but whatever. I'm just gonna Omni Power. Oh, my Wild Magic's up. Wild Magic, Dragon Breath. We're gonna Conk. Oh, I didn't even Staff Armor. That's why I'm kind of dumb. But like, even this is like frustrating. Look, I've done 4 basics. I haven't 5 basics, or maybe I didn't threshold. So you know, again, I even find it kind of frustrating. Okay, my thing finally came up. Again, I just don't think it's interesting. Like, wow, 6.6k. It's like, is it really that interesting? Like, I don't think it's that interesting. The whole Wild Magic thing. And one thing you could do is, it's like, let's say you even kept on the Bleed build on at whatchamacallit. At 25 essence stacks, you deal at max stacks you would deal at a bonus 220 damage a hit. So like all that is just, oh, I deal more damage during my Fracture Staff of Armor special, and I just can't my wand and core. But like I just don't think it's interesting because it's not inventing a new playstyle. It's just sending the Staff of Armor into you're forever going to be an Essence of Finality switch. It's limited to Eldritch Crossbow, which I think is kind of tragic. So let's just try this again, okay? So I'm not gonna Dread Power. Oh, thank you, game. So let's use some bleeds, and like this is what you could potentially do. Tsunami, Conk, Wild Magic, Omni Power, Conk. Am I gonna get a proc? No proc. It sucks ass. It just no proc still. 105% chance. 140% chance. Oh, sorry, I'm doing it wrong. You know, I don't care. I'm still. I don't even like it. I feel like I'm just looking at my Wild Magic. I'm getting very unlucky right now too. It just doesn't feel that good. I almost feel like the Oh, I'm crazy. I'm sorry, guys. I'm using the Bleed one. I forgot. You know what? I don't care. I do this in one take. But I was using the wrong one. So I was just doing extra damage on each of my hits. I'm doing what, a total of, well, I need 50 stacks. So now I have 50 stacks. So where is this? Does it even say it? Here, yeah, right here. Base attacks. No, yeah, you deal 170 bonus damage against enemies. So it also scales with the essence stack. So if I use more bleeds, I'll get stacks. And like, again, like you're not even really doing a bleed build. You're just kind of like camping it. And plus, if I were to swap, like, so you have 62 stacks of corruption or 61. If I swap to my staff, all of them go away. And some people complain about that, saying, "Oh, they should just stay." But again, I don't think they should. I think they should just go more into the wand and core should be a bleed build, right? Because I just think it's kind of sad that, again, like, look at me. I'm just still playing like it's Carapic release. Like, you don't actually use the Staff of Armortal. Let's go back and try out the... Let's try out the wand where it reduces the cooldown completely again. I pro right now, FYI. But sorry about the having the mix up with the wands, but it's fine. There's no cooldown too, but the 9 seconds. I have to just have to gauge it. So let's just give this 10 more seconds, honestly. But yeah, overall, I just don't think Wild Magic needs a buff. I'm gonna talk about some other things right now, and I made a really long notepad about it. So I do hope you stay to see me talk about it. Staff of Armor. Oh, oops, that's the wrong. I hate Essence Finales. I get these mixed up all the time. Okay, we did this finally. And you do a Wild Magic. Let's see if I get some resets. Oh, I did get reset, but I have no adrenaline. Oh no. Dragon Breath. And again, like, it only makes sense with the Staff of Armor special, but even then, like, it's not even that crazy. Like, look, I only got one special the whole time. So, like, is it really that good? Not really. You could already fit 2 Wild Magic, so, like, I just don't think it's that good. It doesn't feel amazing. It doesn't feel like tier 95 wand worthy. So, again, these are garbage. Both these are garbage. And the one that's king is the Corruption Wand and the Corruption Orb. So I'm going to talk about what I wrote. And I wrote a lot of things. I'm going to read this out loud. I also have this in the description. I wrote a lot of notes. I'm going to read this out loud. But it's essentially what I'm going to talk about what I want out of the Sapphire Armor and the tier 95 wands. And then other suggestions such as supporting bleed builds and stuff, okay? So my vision is to have the Staff of Armor and the tier 95 dual wield wand and core to be able to be camped for similar damage. So again, you'll be, if I'm doing Zamrak, you know, I just want to be the crit user. I'm gonna, you know, do massive damage with my Staff of Armor. I'm going full. I'm using a Grimoire. I'm using Calgren Demon. And then if I'm using the Corruption Wand and Orb, oh, I'm doing bleeds. I want to have a full buck. I want to have a Blood Reaver because that's the best thing I can use to support bleeds, or maybe even a Ripper Demon for raw damage output. I'm gonna use an Equilibrium Aura because I want to focus on you know, bleeds, like things like that. I just think that'd be a lot more interesting than just, oh, let's just keep stacking crit and stacking all the specials, like, you know. So some might be, yeah, and I explained how some might be better for bursting, because you would probably use a bleed build for like a poison boss. Or another thing I would like is if a boss came out where bleed damage was, say, doubled or tripled, it was just enhanced, so it took more bleed damage, but any other source of damage that wasn't a bleed, it took reduced damage. So like, oh, you just used a Serengabo, instead of seeing 50,000 damage, it only did 20,000. You need to use bleeds. Because the one thing else I really liked was Huracan at Zuck. It takes 1,000 less damage, I believe, every hit in Horde mode. So you're really disincentivized to cast, you know, Corruption Blast or Greater Ricochet because it won't deal damage. So you want to use the hardest hitting abilities you possibly can, right? And I love that. So I hope there's more bosses like that. So what I think should happen, the Fracture Staff of Armor, okay? So the Fracture Staff of Armor should be buffed. And they should just make it so that when the special is inactive, so say I'm not spec right now. Every time you crit, it just deals 50% of the damage that it would normally deal if it didn't crit, or if you did crit. So if I crit, if I special right now and then I use Tendrils, you know, it sends a lightning spike and it does. Where is it? Why did it not come out? Hello? Oh, I have Equilibrium on. Sorry. Let me put that off. Let's wild magic. Let's get a crit. Right? Crit? Crit? Come on. Am I gonna crit? My Equilibrium Aura's off. This is why you don't talk. Okay, I think I'm finally gonna crit, guys. Maybe it's bugged because I had Equilibrium on. I don't know. But regardless, let's just say that Fracture Staff of Armor proc on crit would do 2,000 damage. It would just deal 1,000. Just make it half of the ability damage it deals. That's all they would need to do. And what that would accomplish is make it so you still want to crit while using the Staff of Armor. You're still benefiting. It's just you won't have Sunshine up, obviously, because your regular special is over. And you also would be disincentivized, like, oh, well, my Staff of Armor's out. Time to switch the range. This can be further supported with a proper tier 92 power armor set for magic that supports the Sapphire Armor, just like how I think there should be a Tier 92 bleed set. So I have a vision of the game where I go to Zamorak, I have a Sapphire Armor. Oh, I use a Sunshine, my stats down. I still want to conk and Wild Magic because if I crit, it deals 50% of the damage. It does, I still benefit from the Adrenaline because of shorter cooldowns. Like, right there would be 3 procs of, 2,000 damage. So, I think it doing nothing is really bad. Jetix did have a change where I think every 4 crits, or maybe even 8 crits, it did one tick of damage. I think they should just make it so no matter if you crit, it does damage. So you don't feel bad, and you get those hit splats, and those hit splats equal soul split healing. It should just always be doing something, so you don't feel like, oh, my staff's out, I guess I shouldn't worry about crits. Because I don't want you to have to be like, let me just switch to a different weapon. I don't think the game should be like that. Whatchamacallit? Yeah, another thing I want to talk about is I'm not sure if the Sapphire Armor should have a rule like the Bolas Guardian where you should have it for 9 seconds and to benefit from the effects. Although no, I don't think the Bolas Guardian's like that, actually. No, that's with the EUF. Sorry, disregard that. But I'm not sure if like maybe the Bolas Guardian and the Sapphire Armor should have a rule like that, but specifically the normal staff because I wouldn't want people to mix and match stuff. But I think there's a better solution to that. But again, I don't know. I just not a big fan of people switching things like that. Whatchamacallit? Yeah, I have a suggestion for the Tier 95 wand and passive and special that that probably work well, right? But if you can use it with the Sapphire Armor, it'll probably be an issue. That's why I kind of want a cooldown. But I don't think you need a cooldown with what I've suggested. Yeah, and then all I want to say is I just think the gameplay of camping one pair of weapons, and that is how you approach the kill you're in, is easier to read and as a viewer and learn as a player. And also know that 1% of people enjoy the high end of the game, but it isn't sustainable for the game, in my opinion. No toxic, right? So all I'm trying to say there is, if someone saw me streaming and saw me using the Sapphire Armor, saw me critting, it's easy to understand what I'm doing, you know? But like when you see someone use a Sapphire Armor and they have like a whole Dracula set with Bolas Guardian, 4 UFs, I think the game becomes overwhelming to the point where no one wants to do it because they're intimidated, and it's just again the skill ceiling's too high. It's a problem like StarCraft 2 had, for instance. So let's continue on. So let's talk about the Tier 95 wand and core. So if you're using a Tier 95 wand and core, you would be in the mindset of using bleeds, obviously. So let's just put that on. They wouldn't want to swap to a Fracture Staff of Orbital as they would lose all stacks. So that's why I like if you have 100 stacks with the wand and core, if you swap, you lose all your stacks. People don't like that, but I think that's important to support the bleeds playstyle without having people do like, oh, I'm using my bleeds. Let me go back to my Staff of Armor and let me just do damage. And then, let's say my bleeds are back up. I'll go back to my wand and core. I just think that's not good gameplay, and I don't think it's that interesting or fun. Again, it's just what I think is not fun, because I read what people say a lot about combat, even like new players, upcoming PVMers, and a lot of them don't like the complexity. I'm not joking. They just say they don't understand what's going on. What else? So the wand and core, maybe at 100 stacks, should maybe make Metamorphosis also last 30 seconds. So Metamorphosis, as you know, increases damage by by 66%, but it's only 15 seconds. This 66% damage increase applies the bleed. So I think it would be cool if the wand and core did work with that did buff Metamorphosis. So let's say, let me get some stacks of Corruption fast. So let's just Corruption Blast and Combust, and let's just get some stacks just to get things like, I just need 1 stack to have my refresh. So I'm just damaging, and it's just drink. I mean, it doesn't matter how much damage I'm doing, to be honest. But we're going to Metamorphosis here, and then what if you want a Greater Chain, Sonic Wave, Corruption Blast? Oh, look at that. Look at that damage. Corruption Blast again. Corruption Blast again. Corruption Blast again. Like, look how much damage that is. And imagine if, my Poke Full was on. Imagine if I had a Blood Reaver. Imagine if the boss was poisonable. Imagine if there was an actual ring that supported bleeds. Imagine if there was a necromancer on my team applying haunt for an extra 200, 300 damage, or even 400. Imagine if I had a melee user who had gloves of passage and was buffing my bleed damage by what, like 30, 40%. That would be so much damage, and it's just fun. Like, that feels cool. I've never had the gameplay in RuneScape where I can just be like, bro, I can just, you know, I can chain combust, and it procced on one of those guys. It refreshed, and like I've never had gameplay like that, and like this is new and interesting. So I really hope they go for like, we just need to make a magic bleed build where they don't care about crits. They want Book of Full. They want Equilibrium Aura. What else? Another cool aspect of it would be that the Staff of Armor, because it has sunshine, you have to stay, stationary in one spot. But if I'm Metamorphosis, whatchamacallit, if I'm metaed, I can walk around, right? And also, if Dual Wield also had Sonic Wave, I could walk around, cast Sonic Wave, and like it makes sense that the bleed build that supports meta has Sonic Wave, because you can move and cast Sonic Wave. It doesn't make sense for Dual Wield to be able to cast Greater Conch because you want to probably move while metaed, and it would cancel it. So I like the idea that Staff of Armor is more sturdy, stay in one place. Dual Wield Bleed is very mobile. Maybe we'll have more bosses where you have to move across the map fast because something happened, you gotta kill something. That supports the more mobile gameplay. So I like that a lot about Metamorphosis, and I would like, maybe, again, another aspect is this playstyle is more mobile. This playstyle relies on standing in a certain place for an extended period of time, right? Whatchamacallit? Oh, yeah, and another issue is I'm not sure if the Wand and Core should have let's say out of 100 stacks it said your Metamorphosis was extended to 30 seconds. I'm not sure if it should be 100 stacks because, like, look at me, I have 70 stacks. If I start a fight, I won't benefit from it. So they should probably just make Metamorphosis benefit, be double duration, as long as you give the Wand and Core on. And my other suggestion is, when you're imagine if you're metaed, it increases damage by 2 times, not 66, so by 100% more damage, not just 66% more damage, but you can't crit. And because you can't crit, I want to use the Equilibrium Aura because I can't crit. So this further supports my, this ups my ability damage. This supports the bleed build. And then I can use a Book of Full and, get more bleed damage. And I just think that concept's so interesting. Like, wow, I've never seen someone use a Book of Full with Equilibrium Aura and Metamorphosis. Like, that's new. That's fresh. We need more of that. We have so many abilities in the game that no one uses. Maybe we could change horror and shock to something cool. I don't know. That's not my suggestions, but I'm just saying we need to make more different ability combos a thing, not just use wild magic word. I don't think that's cool or interesting. Let's talk about the next thing. Oh, and another aspect to it is my Crypt Bloom has Biting 4 on it. I wouldn't need Biting 4, so guess what? I could just take Enhanced Devoted 4. And like, wouldn't that be cool? Like, oh wow, I don't need to have a Calgren Demon. I don't need Biting. I can take a different perk. I think that's interesting. I'm so tired of using the same perks for every single boss. And not every style or playstyle needs to be crit chance. So I think we need to support this more. What else? Oh yeah, and another suggestion is, if we look at the tier 95 dual wield, if you see, it goes up to 100 stacks, but the effects stop at 50 stacks. My suggestion would be to, say at 75 stacks, which shows that you've been camping for a while, I guess. Your Combust now deals 2x damage without the target moving. So one thing I found annoying is, if say I'm doing Solak, and luckily I'm base because I can move the boss. If I want to cast Combust, I have to move at the same time, and like, that's a little bit annoying, right? So like, what if I could use Combust and it benefits from the 2 times damage? And what if I comboed that with Lunging 4? So I have the 24% more damage, which is multiplied, so it's 248% more damage compared to just 2x more damage. That's cool and interesting. Like maybe they should even change lunging to improve all bleed damage, not just basic ability bleeds. It doesn't improve corruption shots. So like say I have lunging 4, all bleeds do more damage to target. Maybe even should get rid of the effect of if they move, it does less damage. Maybe, I'm not joking, maybe they should get rid of that con. Like, not many perks have a con, so maybe we should change the playstyle to just be your bleeds do more damage. So, Corruption Blast, Combust, 24% more damage. And I use it, oh, the target moved, it doesn't even matter. My bleeds do more damage. And this would probably compete with a perk such as Precise 6, because Precise 6 doesn't actually benefit bleeds at all. So, just saying, like we need more build diversity like that. Okay, like maybe Magic should get a new bleed or something. Something like that. What else can we talk about? Let me get this. Yep, I talked about that. So another thing I'll talk about is set effects. So again, well, one thing I didn't talk about, and I didn't even put, is I'm not sure what the special attack would be. Maybe the special attack of this weapon, all it should be is it. If you use the special, you can only use the special at 100 stacks. At 100 stacks, it does I guess damage, but it also makes the chance to refund. So if we look at this, it's a 30% chance to empower instantly refreshing cooldown. What if during the special it was a 50% chance to empower, and it was a 50% chance to empower during that time frame? Or what if the special was your next 5 bleeds the next 30 seconds was a 100% chance to be empowered? Maybe maybe to test it. I'm not sure if that's too crazy, but that moment of power by having 100 stacks camping the wall, like imagine how much damage you would deal with combust. I just think it'd be kind of funny. Again, maybe it should only be 50% for the duration. Maybe another thing they maybe should do is whatchamacallit. Maybe bleed damage is further increased by double of essence corruption. So at max essence corruption stacks in my magic level, it's 220 damage. However, when I'm specialed, it's double to 440 for only bleeds. But maybe it should be for everything. I just think that's cool. Like that moment of power. Like I want this to compete with the fractured staff of armor, but be a different way to deal damage. Like more sustained. It has that burst option. Is it better than Sephiroth? Maybe for certain content. Maybe you want to be mobile. Like during Zamorak with being able to move around, the metamorphosis is probably going to be better with that raw damage. So what else did I talk about here? I need to add that in. So let me add that note. Add special. So next, armor and gear and quests. So Tectonic armor doesn't do anything currently, which is kind of a bummer. But similar to Serenic armor, how it got a set effect, and then Dracolich armor came out, it won't surprise me if they make a new boss, or maybe when they do 110 rune crafting, you can make a new set of tier 92 armor, right? For Magic, and either Tectonic or so let's say Tectonic armor was the fracture staff of armor. Like I'm not sure what it would do, but let's just say it. I'm not sure if it should give more crit chance, or if it should make crits do more damage, or if it should. I'm not sure about it, but like, it should do something more so with raw damage, okay? And then what if the other set of armor that you make through rune crafting, having 110 rune crafting, and maybe you break down some seismics, right? You break down some seismics, and you make this 110 armor. It improves bleed damage in some way. Maybe it makes flow stacks influence bleed damage more. Maybe it makes metamorphosis last an additional 7 seconds, so you have a 37-second metamorphosis similar to Sunshine. But again, it would only be 37 seconds with Wand and Core. You can't crit as well. But one issue is people might use that armor with Fracture Staff or Armor, so I'm not sure about that. But again, I would like one armor to support raw crit damage ish, and then one that supports bleeds. So I think that would be a cool idea as well. Another thing is they should rework Carapace gloves, because I don't even think these gloves really work even right now. I don't think they do. I think it was kind of an afterthought. But no one's ever bought these gloves. These gloves, the base gloves, are worth 500k. Literally, no one uses them, and it's mostly because it's clunky. Like having to cast a certain ability and then another ability when you might not want to cast, Dragon Breath. It feels kind of bad, So I'm not sure what they would do, but I do think they should probably rework it. The increased combust damage is nice. Like maybe they should just make it so Dragon Breath applies a debuff that increase all magic bleed by X damage. Like maybe it should just be something simple, not something where you have to oh, I'm gonna do my bleeds. Let me Dragon Breath, and then let me do my Corruption Blast. Let me do my Combust. Let me do my look. Imagine if this was all amped up. I think that'd be crazy. Again, I'm not sure what it should be, but the current state is it hasn't been interesting enough. Although the biggest reason it's not interesting enough is because the damage isn't that good. Like so maybe they are fine. I do think they need to rework. But the biggest reason not used is this bleeds don't do enough damage. They don't. I don't think bleeds benefit from prayers, and they don't benefit from precise six. So if we further support bleeds, like Carpet Gloves do more damage. The wand and core makes you do 440 more damage during specials. We have a full book. We have Equilibrium Aura. It would be. We have Gloves of Passage. It would do so much more damage. So I do hope it gets reworked because if I Dragon Breath, I'm not even sure if it even I just don't know how it works with it. But again, it's not anything to write home about. Is all. So I do think Carpet Gloves need a rework overall. They should probably just make it similar to Gloves of Passage, where Gloves of Passage increases all bleeds. Maybe it. I don't know. This is something I would probably sit down and test. Another thing is, and another big reason is because people don't use it for, because Cinderbanes exist, and they would rather use tank gloves for Animate Dead or a Death Touch bracelet. Cinderbanes again should probably be more so with a poison build, not a universal thing, but that's another topic. And one thing I would like is in the upcoming quest, because I think there's a quest with the next dungeon, or at least there's a quest relatively close to the release of the dungeon. They should make a new ring, similar to Zorgas rings for Necromancy. They have a new magic ring that supports bleed builds. Because look at the ring I'm using, a Chandler's ring. It's just do more crit damage and deal more, and have more crit chance. This doesn't support my bleed build. So again, while it looks cool, I'm using Metamorphosis and bleeds. I'm not even supporting the build fully. I don't, because there's no ring, for instance. So I do hope that they make a quest, they make a new ring that's people can get through this quest, and it increases bleed damage, or it does something unique similar to Zorgas ring. And maybe in the future they can make a boss that improves the ring, but the quest was to be oh, you need to do this quest to get the ring. You get to tease it. Oh wow, it's pretty strong. It becomes stronger because of the new boss. You just double the effect or add a new effect to it. And I just think it's easier to do it than having it, because it's easier to add a reward, such as a bleed magic ring, than to make a new boss and then add the reward, because it's a whole new boss. But I think tagging a reward isn't that hard. So I think they should just do that. Okay. And because it reminds me of the days when Asylum Surgeon Ring was so good. We're approaching those days again where questing was rewarding. Wow, we got a quest reward, and it's a really cool ring that refunds adrenaline. And now it'd be cool instead of people saying, "Lol, who cares about quests?" You feel incentivized to do quests. You unlock gear upgrades. Imagine a newer upcoming PVMer doesn't have much money, but he gets these cool upgrades. I think that's cool. What else? Oh, bleeds are wonky. So the one thing that is really strange is if I have my Book of Full on, look at me cast bleeds. My Book of Full will not proc at all. It's not gonna proc. It should have proc by now, but let's just use Omni Power. It'll probably proc, right? It'll proc with one of these hits. Is it gonna proc? I'm just really that unlucky. Hello? I'm just being really unlucky, but trust me, I've tested this, and bleeds do not proc corruption blast. However, let's bring out the Blood Reaver, okay? And then let's do Onslaught. Where's Onslaught? Onslaught. Because I need to lower my HP. Where is Onslaught? I can't even see it. What the heck? That's not Onslaught. Where's Onslaught? Is it not here? Why is it not here? Oh, there it is. So let me lower my HP a bit. Oh, it has canceled it. But if I put on Soul Split my Blood Reaver and I use bleeds, you'll probably see that my Book of Full will probably proc. Please proc, please, please, please. No, really? No. This is the most unlucky Book of Full I've ever seen in my life. Please proc. Please. Oh, there, it proc. But yeah, Blood Reaver's hits proc it. Why don't bleeds? It also doesn't really make much sense because the Book of Full, when it came out, it was like, yep, it amplifies bleed damage. It was seen as like, oh, melee should use this. It doesn't even work on melee bleeds, such as Dismember, Slaughter, Blood Tendril. It doesn't work. So you have to use a Blood Reaver, or you have to use other skills to proc Book of Full. So again, the Blood Reaver procking books and even poison is a bug. So again, that's another topic. I think that should be fixed. But I do think that bleeds such as Combust, Corruption Blast, Dismember, Slaughter, Blood Tendrils, they should proc Book of Full. I don't know why they don't. Because all Book of Full does is just support bleed builds, you know? And I just think it'd be more situational abilities because like no one uses fragmentation shot. No one. Like literally and by no one I mean like if you have a Blast Guardian, you do not cast fragmentation shot. There's like no reason to even cast it. Unless it's just like you don't know what you're doing. So yeah, I just suggest that Book of Full should be able to proc off bleeds. Okay, that's all. And why I don't like the Wild Magic Wands and Core. So it feels awkward. You use them outside of Sunsun rotation, and Wild Magic's already strong. Like there's no, it's not like, oh wow, Wild Magic. I've seen this before. I already said this before, but I don't care. I'm just repeating what I said. And yeah, if they do keep this where dual wield, or I have a Staff of Armoral, or sorry, I have dual wield on, and I have my Essence of an. Oh, sorry, where the heck's my thing? Corruption. Yeah. I have my dual wield on right now, right? Again, people will just cast Staff of Armoral and keep the dual wield on, and just benefit from the Wild Magic effect and not even use Staff of Armoral. So that's why it's important that the Staff of Armoral has the Greater Conch, because it's the crit staff. It wants the crit. Meanwhile, the Wand and Core, that's the build where you use Sonic Wave. Sonic Wave, flow stacks equal raw damage increase, which helps bleeds. Or at least they should. If they don't, they should. So again, I hope they revert that because I don't think that makes sense. Magma Tempest working on both styles, I guess that's fine. I kind of feel like Magma Tempest should probably do something with the Wand and Core, or maybe the special of the tier 95 wand, maybe it's a bleed in itself, you know? That'd be cool. What if it's a big nuke plus a bleed and you can increase the bleed damage? Wouldn't that be kind of cool? So that's another suggestion. Yeah, I'm just talking about how I tested the Wild Magic Wand and Core. It wasn't exciting. I literally streamed this today, and I never went WoW. The only time I went WoW was when I had the bleed Wand and Core on. I was like, oh, let's do a bleed. Look at that, boom. Like, you know, I just think it's a cool concept. So whatchamacallit? Oh, yeah. All I'm saying that yeah, but if Metamorphosis worked and increased the bleed chance with Gloves of Passage, Vengeful Ghost, damage amp, it would encourage group content because like, oh look, I'm a bleed major. Oh, my friend, he's bringing Necromancy. He has the Conjure that increases damage. Oh, and I have a Meleer who's doing a bleed build too. We're both gonna improve our bleed damage. You know, like with his Gloves of Passage. And I just think this game needs to step away from a one glove fits all where a lot of people are like, I want to be able to use Wand and Core and have, like, some people probably want this. They want to be able to put the Fractured Staff of Armor in the Essence of Finality, use their special, and benefit from the Wand and Core with Wild Magic. Like, it's not that interesting. It's not even that much of a damage increase. It actually really isn't unless they put, like, a special effect, but even then, it's just not that interesting. So, that's really it. Again, I will leave this in the description. Everything I said. I mean, if you want to look at it right now, the pause, like, here you go. This is everything I wrote. I'm going to scroll down in a second. Scrolling down now. And I'll just leave it right here at t95 Wand and Core. Wait a little bit. Go down to Armor and Gear and Quest. And that's all I wrote. So, hopefully this was a nice video. I do hope they go the route of bleeds, and again, we don't have bleed boots. We don't have a proper bleed gloves. We don't have a proper bleed ring. We don't have proper bleed power armor. Like, I hope people have a vision of the game and they can deliver this kind of fast. Like, I don't think it's too hard to deliver. And are more patient. Like even if there's not bleed armor, if they made metamorphosis last 30 seconds, but you can't crit with the wand and aura at 100 stacks, I think it's already solid. Like, if people will go, wow, this is interesting. Then, the quest gets really, the quest has a reward for a bleed ring. Say 6 months later or 8 months later or whatever, I don't know. They make the tier 92 power armor that supports bleed builds and stuff armor. I just think it'd be cool. So maybe tell me what you think. Hopefully I didn't yap too long. Hopefully I was concise. I try. Okay. So yeah, I just hope that the game makes the right decision. And I'm not trying to be like put pressure on anyone, but I really don't think the direction of the game should just be stack everything, because I think range has issues where you're able to stack Eldritch Crossbow spec, Sharon Gabo, and Bolas Guardian. I don't think they should be stackable, and it's mostly a problem with the EOF. Okay, so that's just my 2 cents. My biggest thing, if I were to say something right now, what I would do, make this go, give this a special attack, make it do a bit of a nuke, a bleed that can get enhanced with Carapace gloves, and make it so as long as you have the wand core on, Metamorphosis does 2x damage, lasts 30 seconds. Already, it's way better than it previously was, and there's room for improvement. So I hope they do that. I think those are like the best suggestions, because all of a sudden the bleed build, raw damage, the equilibrium build with Book of Full becomes better. And also, fix the bleeds, proccing Book of Full. That's it. Have a nice day. Again, if they do more changes, I will probably stream it on Twitch. They might do more changes. So yeah, have a nice day. Bye.